Great. Any library school students here today? Welcome. Only a few, but welcome. We're so glad to see you. The way I do my presentations is I have my handout, has everything I'm going to say. So you don't have to take notes. Also, when you go to the CLA website and see all our summer reading handouts, that's how you get the handouts. You go to the website. And what's great is that you can click on all the links because I have a whole bunch of crafts that are part of my handout. And so you go straight to the link for that. So I'm going to be talking about story time, crafts, and do-it-yourself programs because a lot of us can't afford to hire too many entertainers this summer. I'm going to first talk about story times, then I'm going to do book discussion groups, and then do-it-yourself programs. Okay. In the manual, they have story time themes like Bedtime Around the World, Cinderella Around the World, but as an alternative, I wrote up plans for a country or area of the world you can focus on each week at your preschool story times. I have done this before, and it was a big success. I did this about 10 years ago. We used a large wall map, but you can also use a globe, and each week we put a big sticker for that country, and the kids really enjoyed it. And soon parents were really participating more than usual because they knew ahead of time what country we were going to cover. And if they were from that country, they brought things to share with everybody, toys, like a special kind of clothing. Even some people brought food. It was really cool. So you can do that if you want to as an alternative to what they have in the manual. We always did a craft, sometimes a dance or a game, and it was a big hit. And a lot of the parents would also volunteer to teach everybody how to say hello or goodbye in the language from that country. And I think people also felt if we did the country that week, their culture was validated, especially if they came from a smaller country. A great book to use any week, of course, is Rachel Isadora's Say Hello. I always do repeat the songs from week to week at story time. I don't do songs just about that topic. I learned that from like Mother Goose on the Loose, where they say repetition's essential. And the songs you can use, you can find at kadiddles.com or bussongs.com. And they would include things like My Aunt Came Back, Frere Jacques, It's a Small World, etc. Also, you'll notice that I have a simple craft for each storytime theme, and I do that because crafts are really a helpful thing if you're incorporating kindergarten readiness. Teen volunteers can do the prep, but remember, preschoolers need to know how to use the scissors when they enter kindergarten. So we don't do a lot of pre-cutting. We have the cutting for the preschooler to do. Their parent can help them, of course, if they want, but they need to practice cutting, and some parents don't even know that. So we try to convey that information. If you go to the bayviews.org website, you'll be seeing a lot of these story times, plus I'll be elaborating and adding new things every month. So let's quickly go through a whole bunch of story times. I also have some craft samples on this board, and I'll put that over there so you can see it during the break. We could do Canada. I made a little beaver craft. Mexico, of course, and under each thing on the flyer, on the handout I made, there's about 10 books suggested and the link to the craft. Pretty soon, I have a lot of crafts made out of toilet paper tubes. I don't know how long that's going to last. Some of you know that some companies are thinking of how to make toilet paper so you don't have a tube in the middle. Oh, yeah. This is a very simple piñata under Mexico, but you probably have staff members at your library who probably came from Mexico, and they might have even better ideas. The Caribbean and South America. This craft for the Caribbean is a Puerto Rican mask, and the one for South America is a Quetzal bird, which is good to teach the letter Q. For the Scandinavian countries, the craft we have as an example is our trolls made out of corks, so they're very inexpensive. Everything I have is inexpensive. And then for the United Kingdom, England, there's a whole website on Peter Rabbit. For France, of course, we've got Madeline. And Spain, we have Ferdinand the Bull. Germany, there's Little Red Riding Hood, of course, to go with the Brothers Grimm, but also these little hats. And for Russia, I always like to do the turnip story or the mitten. You all know the story of the mitten. And we made little mitten bookmarks. For the Middle East, one of the easiest crafts you can do is get pieces of sandpaper. All you need is a piece of sandpaper and crayons, and you can draw these pyramid pictures, and the sandpaper makes it look like they're out in the desert. It's really cool, and it's very affordable. And we've got, now I realize Africa is not a country, it's a continent, but so many of the folk tales that we like to do at Storytime come from Africa, from a certain tribe or culture group, not the name of the country, because the country names came later. But we've got craft ideas. You'll find links to drums, masks, all kinds of different things. And if you do want to divide it up by country, if you go to A to Zoo, that'll help you. You can pinpoint a certain country and find craft storytime ideas. China, in my area, is the largest group of people in San Leandro who is Chinese Americans, and we've got lots of crafts, stories, and of course, a lot of the moms like to bring food to share with everybody. Japan, Australia, we've got a lot of craft ideas. I made these tissue paper fish. I made it as a wind sock. It was really popular. And the other thing's a little Godzilla. And then, of course, boomerangs. And India, we made little elephants. You can also do paper bag elephants, and Pacific Islands. Those are the dominant areas that I could think of, at least in the Bay Area. Some of them, like in our community, we have a large Filipino population, but there's really not enough really good picture books for preschool to do a Filipino story time, unfortunately. So we could add one, and but there are lots of craft ideas, so that's a good thing. So those are just some things to look for on the handout on the CLA website. Now, book discussion groups, at our library we've always had one for 4th and 5th grade, one for middle school, one for high school, and one for adults. And we meet once a month, and they're really popular, and the kids in the club will all read the same book, and we discuss it. And it's been really rewarding because those kids often we can use as a little target group to get information, like what do you think you'd like the library to do in the future? So if you are going to do a book discussion group, they're not just for Oprah, they're for 4th and 5th graders too. We do publicity outside the library, press releases, announcements to schools, and teachers will often make sure that the gifted and talented kids get the flyer about the book discussion group. We always talk about the book, but we also do hands-on activities, games or crafts, have refreshments. Often we'll try to tie the refreshments to the book. And during the summer, you can meet for a longer period of time. In the school year, we meet from 4 to 5. But during the summer, you can have the meeting from 3 to 5 or 2 to 5. And sometimes you can show a movie based on the book, so long as you have your movie license. So some of the books that I thought would fit our theme would be The Birch Bark House for the United States, Nori Ryan's song. And when you go to the handout, there's links to discussion questions and also links to different crafts. For Birch Bark House, I have paper birch bark canoes for Nori Ryan's song, which is set in Ireland. We, because the whole theme of the book is starvation, we did a canned food drive. And I thought the kids really liked that, and it really tapped in. They were very excited and went out to their neighbors and got canned foods. For England, we did the London Eye Mystery, which is a great book if you haven't read it. And we found a map of London and found all kinds of different crafts. I mean, all the different spots in the story that happen. We found them on the map. Red Scarf Girl. I like to do a nonfiction book now and then for the book discussion groups, not just novels. Canada. This Secret Life of Owen Skye is a funny book, and it's amazing how little all of us, kids included, know about Canada. So we try to always incorporate that when we do an around the world theme. For Korea, we did When My Name Was Kyoko. And for a craft, we made a little toy that's sort of like a hacky sack that they make in Korea. And I love to have kids learn how to make a toy. It blows their mind, and they love it because they get so many toys, and they actually make something and play with it. It's been a huge hit. And then besides newer books like these, we also do classic books like The Door in the Wall, which is set in Europe. Secret Keeper is a newer book. It's from the culture of India. And you could do that with tweens as well, with middle school students, and have a Mendy body art project. Beyond the Mango Tree is set in Liberia. And the kids don't know that much about Africa compared to Europe. And I think there's some curriculum problems, but most of them do know about the game called Mancala, and they can make one out of an egg carton. So that was really popular. And Esperanza Rising was a huge hit. And we did several art projects, including having some of the older adult friends of the library came in and taught crochet to the people that were interested, including some boys. So that was really cool. Some of the other, on your handout, I have some long lists of other books that relate to the One World, Many Stories theme that have more of a travel focus rather than just a certain country. I have both a lot of picture books and a whole long list of tween fiction that fit the theme. Now, for some simple do-it-yourself programs, I have done these the past several years that the economy's been bad, and I've actually put on these programs. We use the outside of the library at our largest branch, and a librarian named Michael Quende helped me with a lot of these. Because all of us, it's easy to hire a puppeteer, magic show, juggler. You really don't have to do a lot, but we can't always afford them. Or if you're out in some of the rural libraries, they're too far away for them to affordably drive in to visit you, except for a very special event. But you can do some programs yourself that you don't have to hire a professional entertainer. I usually do 3 every summer. They're about 2 weeks apart, and we could not do them without teen volunteers. We usually have over 20 teen volunteers that'll help us put these on. We set up 10 different stations around the library, including outside, where kids can play a game or do a craft relating to the theme. We usually assign at least 2, sometimes 3 teen volunteers to run that station. Then one of them can walk away to go get more materials and leave the other teen there. And the teen volunteers can help the smaller children, although a lot of the adults come to the event too. We prepare most of the games and crafts ahead of time using the teen volunteers, and it's really fun. We start these programs with an icebreaker as people enter, with some trivia questions maybe, singing some songs about the theme, or playing a simple game like tossing a beach ball back and forth. Then we'll send the first group out to the stations and take the next group, maybe 20 or 30 people, do the icebreaker, and then send them out. And that way people aren't standing in long lines. You've automatically broken up the crowd. We always make one of the stations refreshments, something really simple like Otter Pops, which are $6 for a box of 100. I mean, everybody can afford those. And many of the ideas I have on the next few slides are grabbed off the internet, so all of these programs are on the flyer with the link to show you where to go. So one of the first ones I thought of was sports and games around the world. And this you can find lots of materials for. You could start off by putting as the icebreaker, maybe have 15 or 20 kids in a circle. You can have a large beach ball that's printed like a globe. And you can do And you could do your icebreaker, it's on the flyer. And then there's lots of games and crafts from around the world that are sports around the world. And of course, you can do a United Nations Day, animals around the world. But I wanted to finish with one I've actually done before that was a big success, was an International Dance Festival. And it was very low cost because almost all the dancing schools would come for free or a very low honorarium. Because they do an exhibition, maybe just 2 or 3 dances, 15 minutes, because they're going to get new students out of it. And it's a great way for their students to get to perform for an audience. So if you have enough local, you only need 2 or 3 local schools, and it doesn't just have to be an ethnic dance like Ballet Folklorico. The local regular dance group can do jazz dance, tap dance, hula. So you can invite some of those, and those are a great way to have a very low cost international program. So I'm out of time. Thank you very much. And email me if you have any questions.